right, so we are now officially recording. I want to welcome you to the last Millionaires chat for the month of June. Go ahead and mark your calendars. Our next two Millionaires Club chats are going to be July 9th and July 23rd. So go ahead and mark your calendars for that. Oh, that's Dr. Jewel. So she should be back in a few minutes. So hopefully she'll be able to make it back on here. Couple of running around things going on, but it's all good. Dr. Jewel, we love you and thank you for all you do. So July 9th and July 23rd. Also, if you do not have an accountability partner, you need help finding one. Some people don't care if their accountability partner is in the same city or state. And we have a couple of people who've connected with people just off of commonality and not necessarily live in the same area. If you need assistance with finding if you need assistance with finding an accountability partner, feel free to let us know. You could post in the chat that you're looking for one. You could post in the Telegram that you're looking for one. But what I would say, when you're looking for an accountability person, like, all of us are of like mindset. We all have things that we're looking to accomplish and things that we want to do, but when it comes to an accountability partner, you want to find someone that has a closer proximity to some of the things that you have going on, because it helps you to, create accountabilities for each other. So for example, you may be a mom of 3 and you may connect with another mom of 3, because as you know, it might be a little more challenging to accomplish goals because you're in mommy mode all the time. You know what I'm saying? Or you may feel like, look, I don't need to connect with a mom because she gonna be talking about she tired and I'm be talking about I'm tired, and then we both gonna be tired and we still not doing anything. I may need to connect with someone who's not gonna give me any excuses. So you kind of figure out, so your accountability partner doesn't necessarily have to be a person that you're touching right in this moment, like physically can touch, but you have telephones, text messages, FaceTime, all these different things. So I definitely encourage you to get an accountability partner, because while we are, Carolyn said, I am a mom of 3, but they all grown. I love it. So you can help the ones that got kids that ain't grown yet. You see what I'm saying? And so I just really encourage you to find someone that outside of these club chats, or just, type it into the Telegram group, that you can pick up the phone and bounce ideas off of, who you can get in agreement with your goals while you're getting into agreement with their goals, who keep you in remembrance of your why when those challenging times come about. Because the reality is, there are things that we say that we want to do, but sometimes, the mood we said it in is changed. And so now we're not really in the mood for all the stuff that we said. And so that's why that accountability partner is important. So if you make yourself an island, there's nobody there to help thrust and help push you. Okay. So with that being said, I do see Dr. Jewel on the line, so you can, I think that's you, somebody. Are you on here, Dr. Jewel? I can't hear you.
Yes, it is me. It's me. Hi. You can hear me?
Yeah, I didn't pray yet, but I figured you can pray and then I can take over whenever you're done. But I was giving the announcements, but
okay, great. Hey, everybody. Yeah, no, that's great. That's great. I love it. I love it. Hey, everybody. Excited to see you guys tonight. Let's pray. Father, we thank you, Lord, so much just for everything that you're doing. We thank you for the completion of this week. I release our faith. We release our faith now, God, for the supernatural to manifest every day and in every way. I thank you that we have ears to hear, eyes to see. I thank you that we wake up to increase. We go to bed to suddenlies. We wake up to expansion. We go to bed to more than enough. We wake up with divine surprise. We go to bed with extended resources and teams. God, I thank you that we are manifesting in degrees and ways that we've only dreamed about or thought about. God, I thank you for explosive growth that rests upon our lives. In Jesus' name, amen. All right, well, I'm excited. You guys are on here. I just want to say this week was pretty amazing. I know some of you got a chance to participate in the prophetic business intensive. Woo, child. Ooh, child. When I tell you, ooh, he did it. He really did it. It was pretty amazing. And I know some of you that didn't, but you did fast with us. Yay. How many of you did the 3-day fast? Was it good? Yeah, I know. I see Katie. Yeah. Okay. I see some of y'all are like, I was in on it. Listen, that fasting and praying, ooh, it works. It really helps to correct some things and accelerate some things and just keeps us on point. So I want to really, really encourage you to participate in everything that we offer here, because I believe that these are what I would call kind of like destination points. And these destination points really accelerate us and thrust us into areas that we've not been in. It's time for all of us to go into uncharted territory. It's time for us to go into unknown places. It's time for us to allow disruption to come in and change the way that we've moved, we've thought, to unlearn some things, to relearn some things. I'm going to let Camille kind of lead us out tonight, but I do want to say, if you're anywhere in Orlando, pull up on me tomorrow. We will be doing Tavaverse real estate meetings down there tomorrow night. And Tuesday, we'll be going to look at properties. I have a little homework to give you. I want you guys to start studying and exploring AI. I'm probably going to be talking about artificial intelligence. I've been taking a deep dive into it. Anybody else been diving into AI? Anybody else? Raise your hand. Good, Giga. Oh, isn't it not amazing? So there's some grants out there that you can just literally write like 2 paragraphs and they'll give you $100,000 if they like it, on how you'll use AI to build. And to not go too much on a tangent, because I want us to get back to the magic of thinking big, which really all goes in alignment with AI. Is it's a new way of thinking, and I really want you to challenge yourself to ask questions, and I mean just in anything, in everything. Sometimes we're a little bit too quiet. I want to make sure that we're thinking, even at the end, where we say, hey, what did you get? Get used to articulating your feelings, your thoughts, your ideas, your opinions. Whoever asks the most questions those are going to be the ones that really grow the most. You want to keep a spirit, an inquisitive spirit, a spirit that wants to inquire. What about this? What about that? How would you do this? How would you do that? And so we've just been playing around with AI, and you can literally ask AI. You could give it a zip code, a city, and say, hey, I'm looking for a person maybe that died, that has a home that's 6,000 square foot or more. They have no children, and it looks like it's going to go into foreclosure. Can you give me that address? I want to buy it. It literally can give you that. Like, it's going to change the game. AI, they have the first $1 billion company that it just has 3 people in the company total. And you know who their business partner was? AI. And they're first $1 billion company with 3 people, 3. So times are changing. What it took to do a startup years ago, maybe, $500,000, $1 million, you literally can, have AI, pay a $12 a year subscription to get the questions answered that you needed. We are, data is now an asset. And the more we can get used to it, bringing AI into all of your business meetings, asking it questions as you talk, and when you go around the table and say, hey, Stacey, what do you think? Hey, Bob, what do you think? Hey, what do you think? You know what I mean? I was about to say Alexa, but if I say it too loud, my refrigerator is going to come on and say, hey, what do you want? And so anyway, I want you to take some time this week just to study AI, nothing in particularly, no particular content. There's tons of content out there. You guys know how to get on YouTube and play around and listen, but I want to just kind of give you that as homework. You literally could really do, you could say, hey, I want to start a business, let's just say, for example, in real estate, and you could take AI and build it on top of Zillow. It's pretty fascinating what can happen. And I think that it's going to grow at an exponential rate. I think it's going to grow faster than what we saw happen with, the start of social media hitting the scene. You had MySpace, you had Periscope, you had Facebook. Ask AI, ask it, hey, why didn't Periscope last? Why didn't MySpace last? Why is Facebook thriving? Ask it those questions, because it's going to help us to shape and inform what we do in business and what we do in investing. This is definitely the time of the thinker, the person that can think, the person that can inquire, the person that can ask questions. So this is very much in alignment with the book that we're reading, The Magic of Big Thinking. The magic of big thinking, the whole idea is to think and to think maybe greater than what we've been thinking. So the app that I have, let me tell you the app that I have. I mean, it's a lot of different apps out there, and you guys can really get on, your Zoom account is being signed on by another device. Okay, is that Camille? Bill, are you on?
Yeah.
Do you want me to hit allow?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. So yeah, mine, the one I'm using is just AI chat, and it's blue with white little like circles, right? But it's a lot of them out there. So explore and just have some fun. Just have some fun with it. But yeah, so I want us to really stay on top of this, because like I was saying, it's going to move, I think, faster. And I'm not concerned with AI taking over jobs for people, but I am concerned that the people that use AI in their everyday businesses, everyday lives, those are going to be the people that are going to be in the positions of authority. I think if you don't use AI, you're going to become antiquated very fast. And so companies have already started adding on and hiring artificial intelligence, CEOs, people that just focus in on AI for that company and how that company can implement AI in what they do. So it is a thing, and it's going to become a bigger thing. I'm also studying out stocks that I think that we need to get in. I'm not a big stock girl because I'm not big on paper, but I don't think AI is going anywhere. So I think that we need to get some investments, and all AI companies, just like anything, are not created equal. So we're going to want to, we'll do our homework. And if you guys find some good AI stocks that you think would be good to invest in, do that as well. But I just wanted to come on and say that. So kind of take, I probably just in the last 48 hours, I probably spent about 7 hours of just going through content, reading, playing around with it, exploring it. Today we did in service, my husband and I, he said, how can I get my wife to cook more? Something like that. And it was hilarious. So AI came back and said, first of all, can I help you manipulate a situation? Then it said, you might want to try taking responsibility and cooking yourself as well. You might want to express gratitude. And when she does cook, I mean, it was just like a whole situation. And we're not going to be those small-minded people that are afraid of AI or, oh, it's the devil. Like, stop that foolishness. Like, don't even. So we're going to be those people that explore it, understand it, use it, and use it in the right way. Could AI be used in a bad way? Yeah, but so can everything. So, we have to take responsibility for getting involved in that. So that's your homework for the week. Mill, thanks for jumping in here today. I can't wait for you to expound on the magic of thinking big, because all these things go together. And yeah, that's fine. Carolyn, she said, I have the one with the blue circle with it. Girl, that's fine. Any AI is good. Oh my gosh, one of our church mothers in her 60s texted me and said, I didn't know what I was doing, but I played around with AI. It was so powerful. So anyway, all right. Love you guys. Mill, I will turn it over to you. Listen to this brilliant beauty, because the girl is bad to the bone. And so I can't wait for you to expound on these chapters. So go ahead, take it away.
Okay, so I'm still talking about the lines of the magic of thinking big, but I'm kind of shifting a little bit, and it's perfect in line with what Dr. Jewel just said, because one of the things that she talked about was how sometimes we, how can I say it? Sometimes we think, or we need to start thinking about certain things a different way. And so one of the things that really stuck out to me that I've been really a student of and learning more about is really understanding how to leverage assets and liabilities. We hear the little bit that we learned in school and what we've learned where assets and liabilities are concerned, to where we hear don't have no credit, like don't have lots of stuff on your credit card, don't do this or don't do that. But then what's really happening is the wealthy are leaning in on liabilities to create assets, if that makes sense. So there's this clip I want to get you to watch really quick, just so you can kind of see where I'm coming from. Because when we think about real estate or anything like that, when we think about purchasing a house, people will pride themselves in like, yeah, I got this house, but that house really is not an asset. Many people believe me buying my own house is an asset when it's really not. Like, I've always, been pushing and pushing and pushing to buy a house. But once I got this revelation, I was like, I'm good on buying my own house right now. Let me go and get some properties that can produce, because this is what the wealthy are doing. They're literally buying up assets, getting assets to pay for their desires. So one of the things that I'm going to give you as homework as well is I want you to think about what are those things that you're really looking to have, or those things that you want to accomplish. The way we're going to shift our mindset is to think about how can we create assets to cover those things, because the reality is anything that you get that takes away from you is a liability. So purchasing a home, that's taken away from you because it's not giving you money, it's taking money out of your pocket. So the way that you shift your mindset is to say, let me grab these so they can pay for that house. So it's not to say never own a house, but what is to say is that this house does not take out of my pocket. I have other things producing so that it can pay for the house, And so just a lot of the mentorship I've been able to get over the years, but even more specifically in the last 5 to 6 months, has truly changed my mindset. And so I've just been a heavy student, because at one point in my own self, I would feel like, Camille, at your age, you should have accomplished this by now. You should have at least done this by now, or you should have at least done this by now. But now, as I'm continuing to learn, I'm kind of even more understanding why things haven't happened the way that it's not that they didn't happen the way I desired, but it was like every delay was in my favor. So every time I went and attempted to purchase a home and there was a pushback where it didn't go through, and I would originally look at that as a pushback. Now I'm looking at it as that it was a favor point. Do you see what I'm saying? So now I see the favor, the delay was in my favor. You see what I'm saying? So now I didn't get through the process of purchasing that house, but now so many doors have opened to where I'm able to position myself to buy multiple properties with tenants in them to now give me cash flow. So now the process of thought has shifted. And so that's what I want to make sure that we do as the Millionaires Club. I want you to start thinking from a different area. I don't want you to think of, I need to make more money to buy a car, or I need to make more money to buy a house. But what you want to think from is, I'm going to position myself to get this car so that this car can make money for me to pay for the car I want. So many of you all who follow me on social media know that like one of my cars that's always been on my vision board is a Range Rover. I used to have one a couple years ago, probably 3 years ago, but then I wanted to upgrade. But in the process of upgrading, I wouldn't say my credit wasn't good, but it wasn't, the interest rates I was getting, the car note wasn't where I wanted it to be. But I knew that it was still time for me to get something, more reliable. So I ended up getting the Lexus. So that was 3 years ago. So I had been wanting to get this Range Rover and all of that stuff. And so I immediately started thinking like, okay, I want to have at least 2 cars, because being single in Murfreesboro, I don't want to be calling Dr. Jewel like, Dr. Jewel, my car in the shop, can I drive one of yours? No, I need my own car, right? But it wasn't about buying the car just for me to park it in my driveway to say I got 2 cars. My immediate thought process was get the car that you want, but make the cars pay for themselves. So now what's happening, I was able to position myself so that I could let them make money for me. So now, if those who follow me, I bought the Range Rover, I kept my Lexus, and I also have a Tesla now. So now I went from 1 to 3 cars, and I bought those 2 cars in less than 48 hours of each other, right? So it was through the education and the mentorship, because I didn't even come out of pocket, not one dime. I lied. The money that I came out of pocket was my flight to Chicago to pick up the car and the gas to drive it back. That was the money that I came out of pocket, okay? So now I was immediately able to put those cars to work, and I've already made the money to pay for both cars because I put them on Turo. So now what happens? I now put the cars to work for me, okay? But I have the flexibility to say, I don't want that car on there today because I want to drive that car. Then I have the flexibility to say, this car gonna keep running because the goal is for them to pay for all 3 cars and all the insurance. So now that those cars that people look at as a liability, because of mindset shift, I was able to turn them into an asset. An asset is anything that gives you money, okay? So now what happens is the asset is producing, that's money that's not having to come from other resources, and they're taking care of themselves. So now my thought process is, why can't I do this with homes? The house that I desire to have, you guys, is humongous. Let's be very clear. And I've been looking and, just looking at talking to my lender about how much money it's going to cost me a month. My first mind was, I got to produce more cash flow, because by the time I pay for that and pay, just the lot, basic living expenses, grass and all of that, I could be out a large amount of money. But what happens? Staying connected to communities like this, someone said to me, Camille, think about it like this. You buy an investment property, the mortgage on that investment property is $400 a month, but you're able to rent it for $1,600 a month. So now you're making $1,200 a month. Imagine doing that times 10, okay? So now, Camille, you're at $12,000 a month because those tenants are paying for your property. Camille, that $12,000 can pay for your house. Do y'all see where I'm going with this? So this is where the magic of thinking big comes in, because many times we think a house versus houses, or we think a car versus cars. But the problem with why we only thought one is because we didn't think right. We thought one and us producing the money to get it versus getting multiple and letting them pay for them. And so that's really one of my challenges to you all. I want you to think about those things that you want to accomplish. Dr. Jewel was just briefly on here talking about real estate. I don't know how many of you all have an interest in real estate, but the word of the Lord that he gave her was, get your ROI out the ground. Get your ROI out the ground. So what is out the ground? Real estate, gold, silver. Why? Because we have different digital, crypto type ways to produce ROI. And a lot of them are new, but you can make a lot of money because we have, but people are going to always need a place to live. There are homes that have been in families for 100 or 200 years still making money for that family. Like, I can give my crypto wallet to somebody as a legacy if I want, but that real legacy going to be that real estate, that gold, that silver. Like, out the ground, like, shift your mindset. So I'm not saying, like, I still have cryptocurrency, we're doing stocks, so we're doing those things, but now you don't want to just be in a digital space where you're subject to all of those market fluctuations. Real estate, gold and silver have been things proven to maintain and hold their value. Do they see ups and downs? Yes, but they're not as drastic as many others. So one of the things I really want to challenge you on is to start thinking from the lens of how many doors, because think about it. Rockefeller still takes care of, I want to say 60 family members off of his legacy. He got a revelation where that was, and oil. Thank you, D'Amica. Thank you for that. And he got a revelation because a lot of times we'll leave a house to a child, but that house is not really an asset if it's not paid off, or and if they move into it. It will become an asset if they create cash flow off of it. So it's up to us to determine what that system and what that looks like when we say we want to create a legacy. It's and the thing about it is, somebody put into the chat a car that you want, like the most luxurious car that you would love to own. Mine is a Lamborghini Urus. That is one of the most luxurious cars. A G-Wagon. Yes, I want one of those too, Colette. What else we got? A Maybach, another G-Wagon, a Porsche Panorama. I love it. So here's the deal. Give yourself a goal and say, figure out a Bentley. Let's go. Big bad busting out the Bentley Bentayga. Okay. So here's the thing. Ask yourself, how much does this cost me? If I want to get this Bentley, if I want to get this Porsche, if I want to get this G-Wagon, if I want to get this Maybach, what will it cost me? And so this is what I personally started doing. Y'all know I'm all about systems and strategies, so make sure y'all take a note. All the things that I want to accomplish, I'm now setting a goal to have a property, a door to pay for it. Okay? So I know this is gonna stretch you because, like I said, many of us have been just on the mindset of just one. I just want a house for me to live in. I just want a house to pass to my family. I just need one car. But really, whatever you desire to have in life, you can have, and it's not hard. You'll see and hear people buy houses and lose houses, get cars and lose cars, because they couldn't keep up the payments. The reason they couldn't keep up the payments is because they didn't put an asset in place to pay for it. So that's where we're shifting as members of the Millionaires Club, to say, if I want that G-Wagon and it's gonna cost me $1,000 a month, just throwing a number out there, depending on the year and the price and all that. Like, I like to buy used cars. I take after my mentor. So I'm going, so let's just say it costs you $1,000 a month. So you set your personal goal and say, okay, let me see, who said they want a G-Wagon? So D'Amica says she want a Bentley, and Paula want a Bentley. Carolyn want a G-Wagon. So, okay, D'Amica, okay, Carolyn, get your Bentley, get your G-Wagon when you get your first two properties that are both producing $2,400 a month. So now your property's paying for your G-Wagon. People always need a place to stay. See what I'm saying? And then you can even get savvy, because one of the things that you learn, for those who are in Toberverse, and if you're not, considered, just a shameless plug, but it's real, like, it's changing my life. You can say, I'm doing only Section 8. So you guarantee money. You see what I'm saying? You may say, I'm gonna do Airbnb. It's no right or wrong, but it's all about the strategy you choose. So you say, okay, I'm gonna do that. You may say, okay, the mansion that I want is 8,000 square feet. That mansion, if it's $2 million, is gonna probably cost me about $8,000 a month. So Camille, focus on getting 10 properties that are each producing $1,500 a month. That's going to give you $15,000 a month. So now every time that Section 8 hit every month and you pay the mortgage on that particular property, your home is paid for. Do you see what I'm saying? So it's all about the strategies, okay? And so this is how I want you to think, because anything you desire to have, you can have. So now one of my assignments for you guys is to take some time and really write down your heart's desire. Your heart's desire could include paying for your kids' tuition. It can be, you know, sending them off for the summer internationally. It could be, you know, getting a home that you can pay for your parents, or moving your parents in so you need a bigger property. You see what I'm saying? And whatever the case may be, and then put a number to it. So then you start writing your vision. This is where it gets fun, because the point that you didn't think about getting real estate or really getting into it like that, you're now seeing how it can change your life. There are so many funding opportunities out there that so here's the deal. Some of you may have been through the home buying process and it was tedious and on your nerves, right? I'm a witness. But when it comes to investing, it's different. A lot of times your income and all that stuff don't matter, because they know that you're buying an asset. When the banks see the activity that you're gonna make is making money, they have less worries. When you're buying a home and they're relying on the money that you have to work for, that's why they put so much more into figuring out if you can afford this. So you can't go into the mindset thinking that if it was a headache buying a home, I know if I wanted to get an investing, it's a whole different world. I've been on both sides of it. I've, running Dr. Jewel stuff, being able to see how easy, when from an investment standpoint, that we just push stuff through. Because when you go to the table for an investment, and let's just say you find a property, let's just say you find a fourplex, and you say, I want to buy this fourplex, it's already 4 people living in it. So they say, okay, this fourplex is $300,000. Your rent is going to be, not your rent, but your mortgage is going to be $800 a month. But then in that particular property, you're able to say, okay, it's 4 tenants already standing there and they're each paying $800. One tenant is already paying the mortgage. They're going to give you the money. They were like, it's cash flowing. We're not really concerned about where the money's coming from, because you're able to show us that people are paying for this. Do you see what I'm saying? And so that's the beautiful thing about the real estate side of things. And a lot of times people steer clear because of lack of knowledge. And so they feel like, let me just focus on getting mine first, versus let me just jump into this real estate space because they're giving us the money in the investment side. And then when I come back and get mine, I'm set. I have the down payment I need for the cap, for the deal. And now the properties that I built are now paying for that. So I want you to think about your dream home. I want you to think big. Think about your dream home, the magic of thinking big. Because when you think big and you apply a strategy to your thinking big, you'll see things happen a lot faster. My goal by the end of the year is to have 10 doors. My goal is to have 10 doors, whether it's I really want a fourplex, a triplex, a duplex, and a single family. That's 10 doors. Out of each one of those doors, after whatever expenses that I have, I want to see at least $1,200 profit per door. You see what I'm saying? So then once that's happening, that's a consistent $12,000 a month. At that particular point, I will be looking at considering buying what I want, versus settling for something that I know, because it's really cool to rent right now for me, because I ain't really got to worry about all the homeowner expenses. So at first I looked at it as a bad thing, but now it's like, it's all good, because I'd rather be a renter and have cash flow versus getting into a home and then I'm trucking all around trying to get more money. You see what I'm saying? So now when you shift your thinking, this is what Dr. Jewel was talking about when she talked about shifting your thinking. So now that you're making that shift and you look at stuff different, you're building a more solid foundation. Not saying you can't go ahead and buy a house. I'm not saying that at all. But you don't ever want to be that person that purchases, and because some people will say, just get into the property. Just get into the property. Yeah, that's cool. But then when it's a stretch beyond what you could imagine, being able to have cash flow coming in regardless. That's the biggest thing, because if you work a job or you're doing certain things, you have to keep putting your hands to it. This is how the rich get richer. Investing, money producing money, assets producing money. You see? So the more that we can get into that mindset and set our goals, I challenge y'all, work on your 6-month goals. Work on your 6-month goals. Work on your 12-month goals. What will you accomplish by the end of the year? Put a price to what you know you need, and then make a determination. And it all doesn't have to be real estate, but just know, you know, gold and silver, they're great investments. They're more longer term. Real estate, depending on which area you get into, whether it's wholesaling, buying and flipping, long term, can produce capital you need to make decisions now. So you just have to kind of figure out which way works for you and how you want to leverage and move. So I just want to play this quick video real quick. This was something I was looking at earlier today, and then I'll open it up and see if anybody has any questions. So let me see here. So I'm just gonna play a short clip, and she was just talking about why your house isn't an asset, assets and liabilities. And this changed my thought process, because I used to think like, man, if I could just get a house, my net worth would go up. But not realizing I don't own that house yet till it's paid off, so it don't really matter. You know, so okay, check this out.
While you're sleeping, quite literally. So now let's figure out why the distinction between assets and liabilities is the most important lesson. Let me ask you this. If you stopped working today, meaning you stopped receiving a salary, from where would your money flow into your pocket? Would money even keep flowing into your pocket? Maybe you're thinking from nowhere, or I'd have no money flowing in. And this is a reality for the majority. So let's change that. Here are some examples of the differences between assets and liabilities. Think of your dream location, maybe Hawaii, maybe Europe. Okay, so now picture that, and let's say you have an asset there, and it's a rental property that gives you positive cash flow every month. It may be a business that you invested in that you're very passionate about. That gives you cash flow every year. Or it could be a stock, like let's say you really like Tesla, and it pays you a dividend. The key here is that it's an investment where you receive money on a regular basis. It provides positive cash flow. To make this super simple, unless something is putting money in your pocket, it's not an asset, it's a liability. Contrary to an asset, and in layman's terms, a liability is something that takes money from your pocket. So if you stopped working today, your car would take money from your pocket each month through car payments, gas, which we know is not cheap right now, and maintenance. Your home, contrary to popular belief, is not an asset, it's a liability. It would take money from you each month in the form of a mortgage payment, property taxes, insurance, and the upkeep that comes with the house. These all provide negative cash flow. If you look at the budget of a poor person or someone stuck in the middle class rat race, you'll see that it's full of liabilities and it has no assets. It's because a lot of people confuse assets and liabilities. The difference between an asset and a liability is best understood by looking at the pictures here. You see, there's 6 words that are basic to financial education and financial intelligence: income, expenses, assets, and liabilities. And the other 2 words are cash flow. Here we can see the cash flow of the middle class versus the rich. So let's look at the average person, the middle class, and how their money moves. That's the chart on the left, right? They receive their paycheck, which falls under the income column. And then under liabilities, they have things like their house, a car, student loans, and then they pay their expenses, like their mortgage. So all their money goes to the bank. It's a liability for them, but an asset for the bank. But now on the right side, we see the patterns of a rich person and how their cash literally flows. They have rental properties under the asset column, which put money into their pocket and that's how they make their income. And while the middle class use debt to create expenses, the rich understand the concept of assets and liability. They use debt to finance their assets. So debt just makes them richer instead of poorer. So very simply put, the rich don't work for money in the form of income like employees do. Rather, the rich invest their money in assets that put more money in their pockets, such as real estate, stocks, bonds, commodities, and notes, and intellectual property. So if you want financial freedom, true freedom, it's time to shift your focus. Pause the video now and draw your own cash flow pattern. Where does your income flow?
Okay, so I just wanted to, briefly show that part right there because, it's just literally what she said. The wealthy use their assets to get their income. And think about like even COVID, when that happened, so many people, because they had no other assets or anything in play, they lost so much financially. Once they lost their job, income stopped. But the person that had assets and other things in play were able to still continue to move forward like without missing a beat. And so that's where we want to be. That's where we want to position ourselves, because once we can get our money making money for us, that's where true financial freedom comes from. So you don't have to show up to make money, and now the money is making money for you. And so we have to shift our thinking, right? And so that was really what I really wanted to share with you guys tonight, is just to make sure that even in all the things that we desire to have, that, we want people to see that we have, we want to celebrate our wins, but let's just do it smart. Let's do it different. We are all called to be part of the 1%. And so we have to move like the 1% move, just like she said in the video. The wealthy, they leverage debt to fund their assets to produce more cash flow. One of the things that blew my mind that I learned, especially where the Kiyosakis are concerned, is that they never have an intention to pay off any of the properties that they have. They just keep refinancing them and do like interest only. So they pay the least amount of money possible to keep more money in their pocket. The bank making money, they making money, and it's a game changer. You see what I'm saying? So now they've learned how to leverage debt, because the more debt that they have to put into assets, the more money that they're making. So that's all that I have for you guys. We have about 12 minutes left. So if anybody has any questions, Dr. Jewel, I know you're still on. So if you want to chime in, let's chop it up. Let's have a conversation. Nobody got nothing? I was looking at Carolyn's message. Hey, Monica. You sound far away, Monica.
We can't hear you, honey. Okay, yeah, we can't hear you, honey. You might want to jump off and jump back on. But I can't wait to hear you guys' feedback, because remember, it's in the conversation. This is a part of thinking, is conversation, learning to speak up, giving your feedback, asking questions, commenting. So somebody else unmute while Monica gets it together.
I'll chime in. Hello, Dr. Jewel, Camille. This is so good. I was just taking notes, and I think the resounding points that you made, and I was just digesting it. For the middle class, our cash flow goes to our liabilities. But in that video, in the chart, I noted, I said, okay, hold on. On the rich side, I had to go back and scratch it out, because I was like, okay, cash goes from the assets to the cash flow. And I'm like, okay, if I could just keep that mental, I'm like, okay, let the assets create the cash flow. That's the shift, because, we have the 9 to 5, 8 to 4, whatever your regular hustle and grind mentality is. So and the rich use their debt to finance their options. Those were two things that, stood out. And I'm like, okay, God, help me to continue to shift. help me to continue to shift. So this is good. Thank you, Camille. Thank you, Dr. Jewel, because I'm coming for you. I'm coming for you. Thanks.
Absolutely.
I love it. No, it does. And it does take some renewing of the mind. Every time I get ready to go get something, I say, okay, what asset is going to produce it? And you guys don't see me because I'm packing. I'm traveling. It's a heavy travel week for me. But, you know, I'm always thinking, okay, I want this, or I'm going to do this. What's going to be the cash flow? So when my daughter went to Howard, cash flow, bought her condo, cash flow, investment properties, cash flow, use debt to create cash flow. Then that way you're not just working for money, 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 ROI, 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 ROI lifestyle. So you want to, you know, dial back a couple months. You can, because now you got all this cash flow coming in. So it's not just about business. I love business. I'm a serial entrepreneur, but businesses pivot. They have cycles, right? So this is why getting your ROI out of the ground is so important. Okay, somebody else, thoughts, questions?
Hi, Dr. Jewel Camille. Can you hear me?
Absolutely.
Hey.
Okay. Sorry about that.
It's the projection for me, girl.
Oh, well, I like the Tava verse. I almost made it. I had something come up. I had a tickets I had to cancel. I'm coming to Tava verse. Are you coming back to Detroit?
I am, girl. I'll be up there July 6th and 7th. And
Okay.
on June 30th, they're having a meeting. Are you in Tavaverse already, babe?
No, my husband was like, get up there. So I'm not going to take too much of your time. Thank you. Thank you both. What would you say is the average credit score the bank will be looking for? 620 too low? 650?
I mean, honestly, they'll go as low as 580, but we like to try to work on getting you to at least 680 so that your interest
Okay.
is not crazy. And so the first
Okay.
thing we'll do is we would, you know, probably say, work on your credit. Let's get it.
Okay.
We help
Okay.
people get their credit up 100 points in 30 days.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, because that Tava verse, it's very interesting. I really am excited to see, you know, I followed your Detroit field trip, some of the reels and clips, and it seems like a lot of lives are being changed. So,
It's phenomenal. And I love it because people are buying properties. We had one of our members, she purchased a duplex for her sons. Her son is at Emory going to med school. The other son moved to Atlanta and they just closed on a duplex. One side is going to be rented. The other side, they're going to live in. So it's going to pay their mortgage.
oh, wow. Thank you so much. Well, I'm going to work on that. Is Tava verse permanent though? Is it going to be for here next year?
Yeah,
You know,
yeah, it's
like-
permanent. Yes, permanent. It's every month subscription, $150 a month, but the education is amazing.
Okay. Thank you.
Hopefully I'll see you in Detroit.
Yes.
All right, somebody else, thoughts, questions?
Hi, Dr. Jewel, can you hear me?
Hey, yes, we can.
Hello to you and Camille. I enjoyed the session tonight. And I just wanted to say that the session tonight and the one previously really challenged my thinking. I kind of had a certain way in my mind of how things would go in terms of what I wanted to be able to do. So I think I've just been kind of quiet because I'm processing, but I do think that, you know, getting it out the ground is just very insightful and just challenging my thinking about how it needs to happen or how it can happen. But I wanted to ask, when it comes to like, I always thought, okay, well, maybe I don't have enough of the funds set aside to take on another property. Like I'm in a house now that I have a mortgage on. So what's kind of your thoughts in terms of if you know, how much, I always thought you have a certain amount of money set aside for if something goes wrong with the house and maintenance and things like that, but to take that on. So I guess I was just kind of feeling a little bit apprehensive from that level. Any thoughts there?
Yeah, I mean, a house is always going to need work, but you don't let that stop you from investing. So I'll give you a scenario, and there are a couple things that you could do. So sometimes the people are like, "Hey, I really don't have a lot of capital." So the first thing I would do is say, "Okay, let's find a good buy and hold." So let's just say, you know, a real scenario: you found a house for $60,000. We actually have a bank that will give you up to 90%, somewhere between 70 and 90% of that $60,000. You'll get 100% on the rehab. You will have to buy the supplies first. We can help you get a Home Depot or Lowe's credit card to buy those supplies. You take a picture of the supplies, send over the invoice, they'll pay you for the rehab. You sell the house, let's just say the comps, because you always want to check the comps before you buy the house to flip it, because you want to make sure that if it's in premium shape, you can get market value. So let's just say the comps in that area, the house is fixed up is 200,000. You bought the house for 60,000, you rehabbed it for another 60,000, you got $120,000 that you now owe the bank. You sell it in 3-4 months after the contractors get finished for 200,000. Now you just made $80,000 profit. You paid off the bank for 120, you go back and you do it again, but now it gives you cash on hand, right? So it's not necessarily a long-term cash flow issue, you know, cash flow project, but it's still just as equally as important because it's going to allow you to build cash. Then the next time your next thing you'll do, buy and hold, put a tenant in, and as things come up, you'll have that 80,000, you know, or at least maybe you say you just set aside 20,000 for little miscellaneous things that come up. So that would probably be what I would recommend, is to do a buy and hold. I'm literally bought an apartment building. And so now my next one is going to be to do a buy and flip for, you know, a hit a lick, and then I'm buying another apartment building. So there's a lot of strategy that you'll learn in between. You never, ever allow money to stop you from investing, because most investors, especially once you start getting into 5M, 10M, 15M, 20M, they didn't get there because they were using their own money. They got there using other people's money.
Wow, that's excellent. Thank you so much for sharing that. And that really challenges my thinking. So thanks so much for sharing. So I'm excited. So I have to get into Cyberverse.
Yay, Melissa. Excited. Somebody else. Somebody wants a grant too, girl. She just said she won a grant by using AI to write her grant. Good job. Okay, yes. Hey.
Hi, that was great. Thank you, Camille. Thanks, everyone. It's been an excellent meeting. My question for you, Dr. Jewel, and for Camille is this. I feel like I get really excited after these meetings and they're just an hour long. So if you were going to point me in the direction of maybe where I could start, just kind of like getting into a conversation either through books or through YouTube videos or resources. Because I'm in Canada, I'm not jumping into Tabaverse just yet, but I'm in discussion with someone about how to set up a Wyoming LLC and a trust in America. And so once I can get that, I think it's going to be a game changer for being able to actually get into US real estate. But in the meantime, I'm thinking that just building up that mindset component, maybe it's Kim Kawasaki's book, or, you know, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. But if there was somewhere where you're like, start here, and it's just really, I mean, on the surface, the stuff is like, I get it, but I also feel like I need to dig deeper because I'm not doing it in a lot of ways. So where would you point me for that?
Yeah, such a great question, Katie, and congratulations on doing the Wyoming LLC and the trust. I think that's super, super smart. I mean, to be honest with you, yeah, Kim Kiyosaki is going to always be great. I mean, getting on and, you know, just YouTube and typing her stuff in and listening is going to be great. But honestly, like we have a lot of people that came in last month, 2 months ago, and they're buying a bunch of properties already. But then I have some people who are like, hey, I feel like I just need to get in and learn. Like, I just want to listen for 6 months. I said, hey, there's no pressure. Because, you know, when you get in a community and everybody seems to be buying, you feel like, man, am I moving too slow? And I'm like, no, you move at your own pace. And so one girl told me, she said, I want to just get this education for 6 months before I make a move. Honestly, Katie, if I were you, yes, definitely Kim, because Kim is a real teacher. She's living it. And she's my mentor and good friend. So I love her. And I would definitely recommend, especially for females in real estate, that we don't have a whole lot of females that are doing it super big in real estate. I even asked Kim one time, I was like, so like, are there a bunch of other females? She's like, nah, Jewel, not to the level that she's doing it. I mean, she's got 6,000 units independent of her ex-husband now, Robert. That's unheard of almost in the United States. So I would definitely say Kim for sure, because she's a real teacher. And then I would say, I wouldn't necessarily, and I'm not trying to push this or whatever, you do it or don't, whatever, we love you either way, but I would still say jump into Tabaverse, just because you know, you might want to take just some months to really get your head around. Like, if you get into it, you'll see it is a lot to learn. Those educators are on every night, and it's a lot of tea, from structuring the mortgage to, you know, evaluations, comps, short-term rental, long-term rental, Section 8, V8. I mean, the list is pretty extensive of what you're going to learn. Camille with the systems is phenomenal. Bookkeeping, organization, Google Calendar. I mean, she really does a phenomenal job and really, you know, just covering the gap, and all of them do. So I said that to say that I highly recommend. As a matter of fact, I had a meeting with our educators yesterday, and I said, guys, make sure you're listening to each other. Like, this content is really premium, like for real. So it might take you, you know, a few months, honestly, just to be able to really learn. It's not one of those things that you come in and you learn one time and say, oh, I got it. It's like so extensive, you know. It's open line of credits, it's 30-year mortgages, interest only, 30-year plus 10-year mortgages. It's so many different terms. It's 12-month terms on open lines of credit. You know, it's really learning what is the best product for me. What's going to be my niche? Do I want to do lower income? Do I want to do lower middle? Do I want to do middle? Do I want to do upper? I don't ever, I really honestly don't, ever recommend upper, because I feel like during times of recession, people are always going to move down. That's what Kim said. She said, Jill, you cannot lose in lower, as long as, you know, you don't want to get a slum property, and you definitely don't want to be a slum lord. You want to take care of your property, but people are always going to be, during recessions, they'll move down, but not up. So you don't have to worry about it not renting. So I said that to say, but in the meantime, if you say, well, I just don't want to spend that money yet, I'm not going to do time reverse, I don't want to do the $150 a month, I would say, listen to all Kim Kiyosaki stuff. I get on YouTube, her podcast, I will listen to everything that she does, because when it comes to wealth, when it comes to real estate and particularly, she's definitely my number one go-to.
Amazing. Thank you.
Absolutely. All right, what else? Who else?
Hi, Dr. Jewel, this is Trudy.
Hey, Trudy.
Hey, I just want to get on here real quick and tell you thank you so much for that contact with Matthew Davis. I am working with him. It's about to go down, and I'm really excited because I know that Tamaverse is going to get me ready so I can use what I can get with him. Okay, I'm so excited.
Yes, I love it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely. Good to hear your voice. Thanks for jumping on. All right, next, Sharon.
Yeah, hey, Dr. Joel, Sharon, yeah, how are you? Thank you for the information tonight. When you were talking with Melissa, you mentioned something about Home Depot and rehab. Would you kind of jump back on that for a quick minute for me, please?
Yeah, I was just saying, you know, if you do one particular program that we have for buy and flip, they'll do 100% of your rehab, but they want you to buy all of your supplies first. And so I was saying you could just use a Home Depot card or Lowe's card to buy those supplies. That was all.
Got it. Thank you.
Uh-huh. Anybody else? All right, ladies, I appreciate you all. Love you all so much. Don't forget your homework in AI. If anybody is interested in trading with Matt, get with me. He had a great week last week. I think he did 18% last week. And then, of course, you know, we love to have you over here on the investing side with Tamaverse. But love you. Appreciate your partnership. Have a great night. Camille, thanks. That was amazing. All right, everybody, have a good night. Bye-bye.
Thank
Bye. Thank you
Bye.
again. God bless you.
Bye. Thanks. Good night.
you. Yeah.
Nice to